I've been, I guess, been around politics in one way or another since 1972. I've never seen an election where you had 7 states that were basically dead even. In other words, just within, most within 1 percentage point, some 2, but we've never seen anything like that. And that polling, it never was accurate enough to make distinctions between, 1 point, 2 points, something like that, even in its heyday. And now when it's so much harder to get a sample, and we've had 2 elections in a row that understated the Trump vote, these are distinctions without a difference. I mean,
okay, having said that, let me ask you this. If you had to, well, I shouldn't say if you had to, but would you care to put odds on Trump winning and then odds on Harris winning? And the two should come together at approximately 100%.
Well, Thursday night I was talking to a group of CEOs of sort of medium-sized companies, and afterwards this guy comes up to me and said, okay, if I handed you $10,000, how would you bet it? And I said, I'll give you the money back. I mean, the thing is that, if I was the president of a popsicle company or something, I could go on a hunch. But when you do this for a living, you're supposed to have like reasoned views and theory and data maybe to back it up. There's not any data that supports either of these guys, either Harris or Trump, having any meaningful advantage over the other. Just not. There isn't.
But Charlie, some people that seems sensible to me, I don't say, but some people think that in the last week or two, there's been a slight, if you look at the predictive markets, although who knows how reliable they are, and you look at the polls, there's been a little bit of a move toward toward him. But I don't know if that's right or not. Maybe it's just noise and not signal. That's a question.
Well, numbers is a lot more your game than mine, but
not these numbers.
When you see changes of, let's say, 2 or 3 tenths of a point in averages or Nate Silver's model or whatever, these are not significant movement. But when you see 7 of them going the same direction, even though it's not much, having 7 going the same way, and oh, by the way, the national numbers moving about the same direction, I think you can't ignore that it happened, but is it tiny movement, and is it still really, really, really close? Yes.
Charlie, let me ask you this in that context. The predictive markets. More and more people I know seem to think there's some value in them. I don't know, I've always been very skeptical because they're so thin. You have a view? The market.
Yeah, I've never seen any real data on this, but I strongly suspect that people that engage in betting markets, particularly on politics, they tend to be more conservative, they tend to be more Republican, and who the hell knows who they are, and
yeah, that's what
whether it's some jerk in his boxer shorts of his parents' house or something.
Leaving the description aside, I agree
so
with
this
you.
is chauvinism on my part, but I've got a bunch of competitors I'm going to listen to a lot more closely than whatever the heck. So I understand the large numbers, and I get the theory, but there's plenty of other things to look at.
This is a strange, as you have now observed, it's a strange. What do you think of the factors driving this election?
Well, what
are the issues most in people's minds? What issues are most driving it? And let me add a clip to that. If there's something we haven't thought of as a factor or an issue that people are talking about, what's the surprise likely to be?
Well, when I look at this race, keep in mind that, you've got 44, 45, 46 that's just baked percent that's going to be baked in and vote for Republicans no matter what, and the same number on the Democratic side. So it's only like 8 to 12% of the potential electorate are truly pure independents, and they don't read, watch, listen to news, they don't follow current events, and oh, by the way, they don't vote much. So, you're really probably talking about 4, 5, 6. And, it is a legitimate question to ask is who in the world could be undecided between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump? I mean, not tilting, either way at all. And I think the answer to that is, let's say you're somebody who you either don't or no longer like Donald Trump, and you'd rather not have him in your living room on your TV set for the next 4 years. But on the other hand, you're not happy with the stewardship of the Biden-Harris administration for the last 4 years. What do you do? And personally, I think a lot of those people aren't going to end up voting.